Hi everyone, it's been requested that I make a cold start video for the hip, and this is just in relation to getting it ready for combat and how I fly on the Enigma's Cold War server. So if you were to do this and speed through it, you would probably get it done a minute and 20 seconds faster than the default auto start, which is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. But I'm just going to go through it slower so you guys can see what I'm doing. But this is just the basics of what you need to fly, and doing it not by the book and by any sort of checklist. So first thing is the battery, then the inverters. Okay, we'll set those down to auto. I think the real checklist, they have to go up into manual first and you switch them down to auto, but it really doesn't matter. From there we turn on all the breakers that we'll need. I don't fly with pylons typically, so I'm not worried about the weapon system ones. One of the things that is conditional are these first 5 are for icing equipment on the aircraft, so it's not in an icing condition today, so we'll just turn these guys off. Okay, and then from there we'll go down to the fire extinguisher, turn that up, and you can turn the APU on now. While we do that, we can turn the fuel pumps on, service pumps. So in real life you're supposed to start the downward engine first. I don't do that. In DCS it doesn't matter, so I always start the left engine. We'll put this brake down while that's going. Okay, when the second light comes on, it's time to start the engine. Okay, I always start left. It really doesn't matter. Okay, once that's going, we can hit the engine stop, clear that out. It's going to start to light off, and then we can turn on everything else we need. Okay, so I always do the radar. I'll set that to 10 meters, so that's going to notify me that we're right about to touch down because it's on the boom of the tail of the aircraft, so that gives me like a second warning that we're going to touch the ground. Up over here we'll turn these fans and the Doppler and the audio system on. Same thing on the other side.
Main hydraulic failure.
Don't touch these things, they'll mess with your communications. Turn the flasher on if you want it, you don't need to. That's still going. You can switch to the co-pilot seat and set that to total so we see the fuel total. Turn this guy on, turn the countermeasure power on, and the FM radio on. Go back to the pilot seat, that's ready. You can switch this on to the right engine. So the thing is, when you're lighting off the first engine and starting up, if these two lights extinguish, you can start the next engine. But you don't want to be too fast. If you're too fast, you'll get like a false start on that second engine. So give it a few seconds and then turn it over. Okay, that's going. Put the stop forward. That's going to continue to go. And this is about as fast as it's going to go. We have to wait for the second engine to come online. The thing we'll do after that is I had some collective in there from the previous flight. Once this gets all the way up, I mean, we can really do it now, just increase the engine RPM to max. Right now it's all the way back down to idle. We'll wait till the start gets to about that. Okay, so now we can put all the RPM in. See that? Go to max. It's going to climb, then the main rotor RPM is going to build. Once it gets past like 80%, we should be able to kick on the generators over here. And we got our rectifiers. And we turn the APU off. So the final thing is this guy down here, the autopilot pitch roll channel. If you don't do that, the flight is going to be pretty wonky, so turn that on. I have it mapped because what happens is if the main rotor RPM sags too much, the generators go offline, and that will not automatically kick back on and turn off, and you'll definitely want that back on as soon as possible. So at this point, the aircraft's ready for flight. We just have to put the brakes, parking brake off, and we can just roll around and go ahead and just take off. So this is how I start up with the hip for the flights on ECW. I also don't use pylons. If you were to do that, you just want, I guess, those breakers on. I mean, even if you took off without it, it's fine. You just turn that on in flight. It doesn't make a difference. That's it. Yeah. So practice that. If you do it quick enough, you can certainly do it under 2 minutes, 20 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that. And it'll shave off a minute for the startup. Okay, well, another thing that we should talk about really quickly before I go. This for Enigma's Cold War server on V2. V1 used to have it set to radio, I think, at the start. I think in V2 it's set to ICS, and that's so that you can communicate with the ground crew. And if you were having problems in the HIP communicating with the ground crew, usually if you have your window open, it's fine. If that doesn't work, you definitely want it in ICS. But if you were on SRS and you had this switch up, you would not be able to switch channels. Like switching these things are not going to go to the different radios and talk on the different channels you have tuned up. So you want to have that down on radio and then you'll be able to communicate again. Don't forget that, because that will trip you up when you're trying to get on comms. But I mean, if you're flying red, you're not talking on comms anyways, right?